don't know what that means! That's what that means.
Metal arms. Start game. Move. Let's go.
Oh no, this controller's broken. Oh no, this one's broken too. I'll just have to order a new one. Oh wait, I can't. I had to cancel my debit card because somebody stole my information and used to pay for DoorDash orders.
In this game, you play as a little robot named Glitch, but you might be asking, are you sure he's a robot? Yeah, he is! It can be confirmed because the theme song tells you flat out, you are a robot. With that aside, and a working controller in my hand, let's start the game. Which difficulty do you want? Easy, normal, hard, or nuts of steel? The game starts with a couple of droids searching the ruins of a destroyed city, where they find Glitch, broken down and inactive. They fix him up and upload the backstory of the game, taking place on the planet Iron Star, which was built by the Morbots thought to live in underground cities. Then Dr. Exavolt, who was working to improve the droid's society, died in an explosion after accidentally creating the main antagonist of the game, General Corrosive, who built an army of Millbots and enslaved the droids, and so a rebellion led by Colonel Alloy rises up. With the backstory out of the way, the Mills have broken into the droid's mine, and the rebellion isn't doing so well.
You're kidding me. You two are all that's left.
Then you get sent in to fight off the Mills with Hosed and Screwed, who teach you how to robot. Not far in, you get your first taste of combat. You dodge bullets and shoot them back. Simple enough. You also have a melee attack. While it does very little damage, it is useful for knocking enemy limbs loose, making them a lot less dangerous. You don't need to melee them to cripple them, you can just shoot their limbs off if you don't want to get too close, which is almost necessary for the bigger, more troublesome enemies later on in the game. At the start of the second mission, Hosed and Screwed die, and you're left on your own to shut down the Mill's operation by hacking into and taking control of one with an arcade cabinet. And when controlling a mill, you can have your gun arm knocked loose too. Being a mill means you have their weaknesses. It's very much worth it to search all the nooks and crannies of every level, because you can find new weapons, upgrades for existing ones, extra batteries for more health, and secret chips hidden all over the place. The secret chips just unlock new multiplayer levels, so those are kinda useless if you're like me in the sense of having no friends. And if you miss any weapons or upgrades, they can be bought from Shady and Mr. Pockets. After sealing the mines with a little tiny metric ton of explosives, Colonel Alloy tells you a bunch of mills, led by the one named Vlax, made it to Droid Town, and you have to clear them out. And this is where it gets really fun. It feels like a third-person version of Doom, with robots! But with so many things going on here, the frame rate drops a little. It doesn't make the game unplayable or anything, it just looks a little choppy. While you're busy dealing with this guy, Vlax slipped away, and you have to catch him before he can tell the rest of the mills where Droid Town is. And now you go with Zabi, the dog, and Crunk, the foul-mouthed mechanic, who also happens to be my favorite character in the game.
Ha ha! Take that, you f***ing shitbags!
In a vehicle called a rat in a driving stage. The rat moves fast and controls well, but the control scheme is a little weird. You move forward and backward with the left stick and steer with the right stick. All you have to do is reach the end within the time limit and dodge obstacles. You don't have to worry about shooting, Zabi works the gun. You chase Vlax on foot through a few levels in the wasteland dealing with these things that need to be killed twice, and meet a big droid named Moser who sounds like Joe from Family Guy.
If my joints need regrinding, my crankshaft is bent, I can't even get my piston up.
You get to play as Moser for one level, then you get ambushed by the Zombie Bot King. Moser is in a cage on a conveyor belt headed for the grinder, so you're on a time limit here. Shoot the walking scrap heap until he starts panting and throw a grenade in his mouth a few times, then it's off to the next area. You know, Vlax could just share the coordinates for Droid Town with the other mills,
But he doesn't. Maybe he just wants all the credit when he gets to corrosive. Or maybe he's just stupid.
Now you have a few levels in the Mills compound, still chasing after Vlax. Then there's a stage where you work a turret and fight off waves of mill patrols, and if just one gets in, you lose. Then there's a few levels in the Mills research labs. Also, Krunk got captured and you're still chasing Vlax. When you find Krunk, you play as him for one stage that teaches you how to use the control tether, which lets you hack into any mill you find that has an open diagnostic port. Then there's another driving stage, except this time the dog drives and you work the gun. And this time you finally catch Vlax, keeping the location of Droid Town a secret, and taking back a chip that he stole, which opens up the entrance to the Moorbot region. Colonel Alloy sends you in there to slip into Mill City and rescue Dr. Exavolt. You know, the one who was established to be dead in the very beginning of the game. Colonel Alloy just casually drops that piece of information over radio transmission, and that's how they reveal that he's still alive and being held by the Mills. Needless to say, storytelling is not one of the strong points of this game. There's a few levels in the Moorbot region, one of which where you take control of one of these flying enemies, and one where you meet a droid named Slosh. He's been trapped on this little platform since the Mills first took over Ironstar, so he's got a few screws loose. Mentally, I mean.
They threw me in here to see if the bots can survive this big wet nightmare!
You get a level as Slosh, then you get a few levels in Mill City, and they're apparently building spy units that look like droids. Sneak into the spy factory, steal a chip that has the Mill's operating system on it, play Simon Says, blow up some spies, and get out. Then it's off to the ruins to find a droid spy that looks like a Mill who had his cover blown and was disassembled. Put him back together, and he tells you where Exavolt is being held. Go to get him out and bring him back to Droid Town. Since he built General Corrosive, he might know how to put him down, and he does. But the only problem with that is Exavolt is evil. He pulls out a walkie-talkie and calls Corrosive to tell him where Droid Town is and calls in an attack right in front of the entire rebellion.
He does this completely surrounded by rebel droids, and nobody bothers to shoot him. I get that the town is under attack and there's no time to lose, but the time it would take to plug his exhaust pipe with a grenade would be negligible. But like I said earlier, storytelling is not one of this game's strong points.
So you fight off the invasion, and then you get captured and taken to the Colosseum. You fight, you win, you become champion, and face General Corrosive himself. But he's invincible, and you don't get any weapons. Find a wrench, hide, and take yourself apart. They think you're dead and throw you out with the garbage. Now there's another driving stage under a time limit to reach Exavolt's rocket before he escapes. Hitch a ride to the Mills space station, fight your way through, and face General Corrosive again. This time, you have all your weapons, but he's still invincible. So you have to find the chips to power up the arcade machine that controls him while dodging his missiles and his one-shot kill Stompy Feet. Then Exavolt tells all the Mills that Corrosive has been hacked and to kill him, but he's still invincible. Wipe out the Mills and use the General's computer to shut down all the Mills permanently. The station goes down, and after escaping, which happens in a cutscene so there's no escape sequence, thank God, you find that General Corrosive is still alive. But after falling from orbit, he has holes in his armor. Now he's vulnerable, and this fight is very straightforward. There's no trick, no gimmick, just shoot him until he dies. The droids are free, but Exavolt is still out there, plotting his next move. He even says,
"I'm not through with you yet, bitch."
Then credits roll. This game was an absolute joy to replay. The fast-paced, frantic shooting keeps you on your toes. There's new enemies introduced at just the right time. There's a wide variety of weapons, and the limited capacity for ammo makes it so you can't rely on just one through the whole game. There's no unfair difficulty spikes. That Simon Says minigame has a lot of potential to completely ruin the whole game, but there's a wide enough margin for error that stops it from being frustrating. All of the vehicles are fun to use, and if you die, it reloads the checkpoint in just a few seconds. The only complaints I have are the occasional frame drops, which I mentioned earlier. There's a very slight momentum thing that's barely noticeable, but it has made me miss a few jumps. And on the loading screens, the names of the levels just flash on screen for a fraction of a second, and then it's gone. Now, this didn't happen on the GameCube version, which I don't have anymore, but this is the Xbox version. It's not a big problem, just a minor pet peeve. It's not just nostalgia talking when I say this game holds up very well even after all these years. And it was set up for a sequel right there at the end. In fact, Vivendi Universal commissioned the sequel before the first game was even released. But the sales weren't as good as they'd hoped, so the sequel was cancelled. And Swingin' Ape Studios, the company that made the game, was acquired by Blizzard in 2005. The development team behind Metal Arms could still be a part of them.
If that's the case, we could possibly see an HD remake of Metal Arms. And just look at this. Psychonauts is getting a sequel nearly 20 years after the first game. So maybe Metal Arms 2 isn't completely hopeless? Please? I don't know what that means! Who the f- Oh, that's still recording. Whoops. Oh no, this controller's broken. Let's try that again without it bouncing to the floor. For Droid Town to share the coordinates with You cannot be serious right now, stupid extra flap.
You chase Flax on foot through this... I lost my place on the script there, I did. Driving stage under a time limit. I stopped reading too soon, I did. But he's invincible, and I'm gonna have to redo that because I just slapped the desk.